Fairy Tale World. Once upon a time, in the vast meadows of Australia, there lived a little kangaroo named Kiki. Kiki lived with her mother in a large burrow made of mud. Every day, her mother would take Kiki for a walk in the meadow, teaching her how to forage and protect herself from dangers. Kiki loved hopping in her mother's pouch, as it was both safe and a lot of fun for her. One day, Kiki's mother gave her a day to explore on her own. Kiki was very excited because it would be her first big adventure. Early in the morning, just as the sun was rising, Kiki hopped out of their burrow. The world around her was so enchanting. The grass was covered in glistening dew, and the songs of birds could be heard in the distance. Kiki started hopping through the forest. As she ventured deeper into the woods, she encountered animals she had never seen before. The first was a parrot with brilliantly colored feathers. The parrot greeted Kiki and asked, "Good morning, little kangaroo. What's your name?" Kiki replied, "My name is Kiki, and this is my first time exploring the world on my own." The parrot told Kiki that there was a large pond further ahead where many animals gathered. Excitedly, Kiki hopped in the direction the parrot had described. After a while, she reached a large, clear pond. Around the pond, many animals were drinking water and playing. There were turtles, frogs, fish, and even a big koala sitting a bit further away. Kiki approached the edge of the pond and began to drink the cool, refreshing water. Just then, she noticed some movement on the other side of the pond. There, a large kangaroo family was drinking water. Kiki hopped over to them and said, "Hello." The kangaroo family welcomed Kiki warmly and invited her to join them. Kiki felt very comfortable among them. As Kiki spent time with her new friends, the sun began to set. A golden light spread across the forest, and the birds began returning to their nests. Kiki thought of her mother and how she would be worried about her. She said goodbye to her new friends and started hopping back to her burrow. On her way back, she admired the beauty of the forest once again. Everything was so enchanting that she knew she would never forget this wonderful adventure. When she arrived home, her mother was anxiously waiting for her. Kiki told her mother all about her day's adventures. Her mother listened attentively and realized how brave Kiki had been. Kiki then snuggled into her mother's pouch and fell asleep, warm and safe. That night, Kiki dreamt of her friends at the pond again. The colorful parrot, the turtles, the frogs, and the big kangaroo family all played together in her dreams. Before closing her eyes, she thought about how safe she felt in her mother's warm arms and drifted off to sleep peacefully. And so, Kiki's big adventure came to an end. But each new day would bring new adventures and discoveries. Kiki was eager to start each day with a new excitement. A new day had begun. With the first rays of the sun, Kiki stepped outside her burrow and took a deep breath of the fresh morning air. Her mother greeted Kiki with a warm breakfast. After breakfast, Kiki turned to her mother and said, "Today I want to meet Coco and go on a new adventure." Her mother approved of Kiki's request and reminded her to be careful and to return before sunset. Kiki quickly hopped towards the pond. When she arrived at the pond, Coco was waiting for her. Coco waved cheerfully and said, "Good morning, Kiki. Where would you like to go today?" Kiki thoughtfully replied, "Yesterday, my mother and I visited a cave and learned the story of my great-great-grandfather, the Kangaroo King. Maybe we could try to go to the mountain where he won his great victory." Coco excitedly agreed to this idea, and together they set off towards the mountain. Their journey took them through the depths of the forest and across high meadows. Along the way, they encountered new and interesting plants and animals. At every stop, Kiki remembered her great-grandfather's bravery, which motivated her even more. After a while, they reached the foot of the mountain. The mountain was indeed grand and majestic. Its peak disappeared into the clouds. Kiki and Coco paused for a moment to admire the view. Kiki said, "This place is truly enchanting. Let's start climbing." Their climb was challenging and long. Along the way, they traversed paths covered with rocks and walked carefully along narrow and slippery trails. With each step, Kiki recalled her great-grandfather's stories, giving herself courage. Coco supported Kiki and encouraged her. Together, they helped each other and slowly but surely approached the summit. Finally, they reached the summit. Looking down from the top, they could see the vast forest, the pond, and even their burrows in the distance. The view was magnificent. Kiki took a deep breath and thought, "My great-great-grandfather achieved a great victory here. I can be as brave and strong as he was." Coco turned to Kiki and said, "You are already very brave, Kiki. We can have many more adventures together." After resting for a while at the summit, Kiki and Coco noticed a small path beside them. The path led down the back of the mountain and intrigued them. Kiki said, "Let's follow this path. Maybe we'll discover a place no one has seen before." Coco agreed, and they began to follow the path. The path led them into a beautiful valley. The valley was covered with colorful flowers and stretched alongside a small stream. There was a peaceful silence in the valley. Kiki and Coco decided to sit by the stream and rest for a bit. Kiki said, "This is a wonderful place. We should come back here again." Coco replied, "Definitely. This valley could be our secret meeting spot." After resting for a while, they set off on their return journey. Along the way, Kiki discovered not only her great-grandfather's bravery, but also her own inner strength. The time she spent with Coco showed her how important friendship and cooperation were. When they returned home, Kiki told her mother about their day's adventures. Her mother, listening to Kiki, realized how much she had grown and matured. That night, as Kiki lay in her burrow, she thought about her great-grandfather's courage and the adventures she had with Coco. In her dream, she saw herself and Coco discovering many new places and making new friends each time. Before closing her eyes, she eagerly anticipated their future adventures. A new day had begun. With the first rays of the sun, Kiki stepped outside her burrow and took a deep breath of the fresh morning air. Her mother greeted Kiki with a warm breakfast. After breakfast, Kiki turned to her mother and said, "Today I want to meet Coco and go on a new adventure." Her mother approved of Kiki's request and reminded her to be careful and to return before sunset. Kiki quickly hopped towards the pond. When she arrived at the pond, Coco was waiting for her. Coco waved cheerfully and said, "Good morning, Kiki. Where would you like to go today?" Kiki thoughtfully replied, "Yesterday, my mother and I visited a cave and learned the story of my great-great-grandfather, the Kangaroo King. Maybe we could try to go to the mountain where he won his great victory." Coco excitedly agreed to this idea, and together they set off towards the mountain. Their journey took them through the depths of the forest and across high meadows. Along the way, they encountered new and interesting plants and animals. At every stop, Kiki remembered her great-grandfather's bravery, which motivated her even more. After a while, they reached the foot of the mountain. The mountain was indeed grand and majestic. Its peak disappeared into the clouds. Kiki and Coco paused for a moment to admire the view. Kiki said, "This place is truly enchanting. Let's start climbing." Their climb was challenging and long. Along the way, they traversed paths covered with rocks and walked carefully along narrow and slippery trails. With each step, Kiki recalled her great-grandfather's stories, giving herself courage. Coco supported Kiki and encouraged her. Together, they helped each other and slowly but surely approached the summit. Finally, they reached the summit. Looking down from the top, they could see the vast forest, the pond, and even their burrows in the distance. The view was magnificent. Kiki took a deep breath and thought, "My great-great-grandfather achieved a great victory here. I can be as brave and strong as he was." Coco turned to Kiki and said, "You are already very brave, Kiki. We can have many more adventures together." After resting for a while at the summit, Kiki and Coco noticed a small path beside them. The path led down the back of the mountain and intrigued them. Kiki said, "Let's follow this path. Maybe we'll discover a place no one has seen before." Coco agreed, and they began to follow the path. The path led them into a beautiful valley. The valley was covered with colorful flowers and stretched alongside a small stream. There was a peaceful silence in the valley. Kiki and Coco decided to sit by the stream and rest for a bit. Kiki said, "This is a wonderful place. We should come back here again." Coco replied, "Definitely. This valley could be our secret meeting spot." After resting for a while, they set off on their return journey. Along the way, Kiki discovered not only her great-grandfather's bravery, but also her own inner strength. The time she spent with Coco showed her how important friendship and cooperation were. When they returned home, Kiki told her mother about their day's adventures. Her mother, listening to Kiki, realized how much she had grown and matured. That night, as Kiki lay in her burrow, she thought about her great-grandfather's courage and the adventures she had with Coco. In her dream, she saw herself and Coco discovering many new places and making new friends each time. Before closing her eyes, she eagerly anticipated their future adventures. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived the most cheerful bird in the forest, Paco the parrot. With his large wings and vibrant red, green, and blue feathers, Paco always caught everyone's attention and was known throughout every corner of the forest. Paco's favorite thing to do was to fly. Every morning he would wake up with the first rays of the sun, flap his wings towards the sky, and glide over the forest. Each flight brought him new adventures and new friends. However, Paco's greatest dream was to see the Golden Forest, a magical place with leaves that shone like gold and were filled with legends. One morning, Paco made a brave decision. "Today, I will find the Golden Forest," he said, and flapped his wings, setting off on his journey. He flew for a long time, crossing high mountains and wide rivers. Along the way, he met many animals and chatted with them. First, he met a flagfish fishing by the river. "Hello, Paco. Where are you heading?" asked the flagfish. "I'm looking for the Golden Forest," Paco replied. The flagfish pointed north with his fin and said, "Then you should go north. There is a large oak tree there, and behind it you will find the Golden Forest. Paco thanked the flagfish and continued on his way. Soon after, he encountered the wise owl living deep in the forest. The wise owl smiled when he heard about Paco's adventure and said, "The road to the Golden Forest is long and challenging, but your courage and determination will get you there." Encouraged by the wise owl's words, Paco flapped his wings even faster. Days passed. Paco grew tired, but never gave up. Finally, he saw the large oak tree in the north. When he went behind the oak tree, he couldn't believe his eyes. In front of him stood a magnificent forest with golden leaves. This was the Golden Forest. In the Golden Forest, Paco made new friends and had many adventures. Every corner of the forest was magical, and he made a different discovery every day. As he got lost in the beauties of the Golden Forest, Paco's heart filled with joy. Days later, when Paco returned to his nest, he told all his friends about the adventures he had in the Golden Forest. Everyone admired Paco's courage and drifted into dreams while listening to his stories. This adventure taught Paco how important courage and determination are. Every night before falling asleep, Paco would remember the beautiful memories he had in the Golden Forest and sleep peacefully. And so, Paco's adventure became a bedtime story told to children every night. Everyone was inspired by Paco's courage and drifted into beautiful dreams. Since Paco the parrot returned from the Golden Forest, he had become the most beloved hero of the forest. However, Paco's thirst for adventure never waned. One day, a phrase from the wise owl stuck in his mind while he was returning from the Golden Forest. Beyond the Golden Forest, there is a magical place called Rainbow Falls. It is said that anyone who reaches it will have their greatest wishes come true. Paco was eager to embark on a new adventure. This time he decided to take his best friends, Squirrel Tico and Turtle Coco, with him. "How about finding the Rainbow Falls?" he asked his friends. Tico excitedly replied, "Of course, Paco. New adventures await us." Coco, slow but determined, nodded his head. "I would be happy to join you, Paco." The three friends set out on their journey. The trip would be long and arduous, but their confidence in each other was unwavering. First, they had to cross the great mountain beyond the Golden Forest. The mountain was filled with steep paths and dangerous cliffs leading to its peak. Paco spread his wings and took the lead, saying, "Come on, friends, we can do this together." Tico, with his agility, swiftly navigated through the rocks, while Coco followed with careful and deliberate steps. After days of travel, they finally reached the summit of the great mountain. From the peak, they saw the dazzling Rainbow Falls, shimmering in the distance. The colors formed a massive rainbow, stretching towards the sky. The sight was mesmerizing. However, to reach the falls, they had to cross a river. The current was very strong, making it seem impossible to cross. Tico paused and thought for a moment before suggesting, "Let's build a raft." Paco and Coco immediately got to work, gathering tree branches by the river to construct a sturdy raft. They boarded the raft and were carried away by the river's current. But thanks to their trust in each other, they successfully reached the other side. The Rainbow Falls were now very close. As they approached, they could more clearly see the dancing colors and hear the enchanting sound of the water. Finally, they stood before the falls. Paco closed his eyes and made his greatest wish. Tico and Coco did the same. Suddenly, a bright light appeared in the sky, and the waters of the falls sparkled even more. The friends looked at each other and smiled. They felt their wishes had been granted. Paco, Tico, and Coco rested for a while in front of the Rainbow Falls before starting their journey back. When they returned home, they shared the story of this magical place and their wonderful adventure with all their friends. Every night, Paco's new adventures continued to be told as bedtime stories. The children of the forest listened to these tales and fell asleep, dreaming of their own magical adventures. Thus, Paco's bravery and solidarity with his friends became a legendary tale told everywhere. After his adventures in the Golden Forest and Rainbow Falls, Paco the parrot had become a hero in the forest. However, his desire to explore never faded. One day, Wise Owl told Paco about the mysterious cave hidden deep within the forest. This cave was said to be a magical place where the stones glowed at night, making the cave look like a field of stars. As Paco pondered whom to take on his new adventure, he thought of his new friend, Mimi the rabbit. Mimi was quick and clever and could be a great help on this journey. "Mimi, how about exploring the mysterious cave?" Paco asked. Mimi's eyes sparkled. "Of course, Paco. When do we leave?" she replied. The next morning, Paco and Mimi set off. Their journey took them deeper into the forest. They faced many obstacles along the way. First, they came across a huge area filled with thorny bushes. Mimi, with her agility, easily navigated through the bushes. Paco guided Mimi from above, flying over the bushes. After passing through the bushes, they encountered a wide swamp. The swamp was a dangerous place that many animals avoided. Paco used the tree branches over the swamp to create a safe path for Mimi. Mimi carefully walked on the branches, and they crossed the swamp without any trouble. Finally, they reached the entrance of the mysterious cave. The entrance was surrounded by large rocks and looked dark. However, when they entered, they couldn't believe their eyes. The walls of the cave glowed as if covered with thousands of stars. The cave was indeed a magical place. As they ventured deeper into the cave, Paco and Mimi walked among the glowing stones. Suddenly, they found a large crystal in the center of the cave. The crystal emitted light, illuminating the cave. Paco approached the crystal and examined it carefully. When he looked into the crystal, he could see the entire forest and their adventures. Mimi said, "This crystal shows all our adventures." Paco watched the crystal's magic in awe and then turned to Mimi. "We should take this crystal to the forest so everyone can see this magical place and our adventures." Paco and Mimi carefully carried the crystal out of the cave and returned to the forest. The animals of the forest were amazed when they saw the crystal. The lights shining inside the crystal captured everyone's attention and told the story of Paco and Mimi's adventures. From that day on, the mysterious cave and its crystal became the forest's most treasured possession. Every night, the animals gathered around the crystal to watch Paco's stories of adventure. Paco and Mimi's courage, friendship, and discoveries inspired everyone in the forest. Paco's stories became bedtime tales that taught children the importance of courage, friendship, and exploration. Everyone found the courage to chase their own dreams, inspired by Paco's adventures. Good night, sweet dreams. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, in the midst of lush green forests, there lived a mighty lion. This lion was named Lion King Leo. Leo was the strongest and bravest animal in the forest, but he was also very kind-hearted and just. One day, all the animals living in the forest came to Leo in a great panic. The little rabbit, deer, and birds were trembling with fear as Leo tried to understand what was happening. They heard a voice coming from the depths of the forest. "An evil-hearted dragon has invaded our forest." Leo immediately sprang into action. He set out bravely to ensure the safety of the forest and to confront the dragon. On his way, Leo met a turtle. The turtle was very old and wise. The turtle said to Leo, "Brave lion, to defeat the dragon, you need more than just strength. You must also act with your mind and heart." Leo heeded the turtle's advice and continued on his way. Finally, he reached the dragon's lair. The dragon was large and frightening, but Leo stood fearlessly before him. "Dragon, this forest is our home, and we do not want you here," Leo said in a loud, commanding voice. The dragon was surprised by Leo's courage. "Prove to me why I should leave this forest," said the dragon. Leo remembered what the turtle had told him and said to the dragon, "If I can show you why we need to protect this forest, will you leave?" The dragon agreed. Leo took the dragon to every corner of the forest. He showed him the chirping birds, the playing rabbits, and the graceful dance of the deer. When the dragon saw these beauties, his heart softened, and finally he said, "Leo, this forest is truly very precious and beautiful. I cannot stay here with you. You deserve this place. I am leaving." The dragon left the forest, and all the inhabitants of the forest thanked Leo. Turning to his friends, Leo said, "Remember, true strength is not just in our muscles, but in our hearts and minds." And so they continued to live in peace and harmony in the forest. The little rabbits, deer, and birds told each other Leo's story every night as they drifted off to sleep. Once upon a time, while peace had been restored in the forest, Lion King Leo was strolling through the forest as usual. One day, he came across an area deep in the forest that no one knew about. This area seemed to be abandoned and mysterious for a long time. Leo decided to explore this area out of curiosity. As he moved slowly, he came across an old book. The book was very old and dusty, but on its cover, glowing letters spelled out mysteries of the forest. Leo opened the book and found that it contained many ancient stories and secrets about the forest. According to what was written in the book, somewhere deep in the forest, there was a magical lake called the Mystic Lake. This lake had a source that nourished the energy and life of the forest. However, only a brave and kind-hearted person could find the lake's location. Leo decided to find this magical lake. Following the clues in the book, he set out. Along the way, he encountered various obstacles. First, he had to pass through a forest filled with thorny bushes. Leo carefully made his way through the thorns and continued on his path. Next, he came across a deep river. To cross the river, he had to build a bridge out of large rocks. Leo used his strong paws to move the rocks and completed the bridge, crossing safely to the other side. Finally, he faced a high and steep mountain. Climbing the mountain was very difficult, but Leo did not give up. He climbed higher and higher, and eventually reached the summit. When he looked down from the peak, he saw the magical Mystic Lake. The lake shimmered in the moonlight, and colorful flowers bloomed around it. Leo approached the lake and saw how clear and pure the water was. On a stone next to the lake, it was written, "True courage and kindness are rewarded here." Leo took a sip of water from the lake and immediately felt all his fatigue disappear, feeling stronger and happier. As he wandered around the lake a bit more, a small water fairy emerged from the lake. The water fairy thanked Leo and said, "You have proven to be the true guardian of the forest. By finding this lake, you have discovered the greatest secret of the forest. From now on, the forest will bring more abundance and peace to you and your people." Leo felt proud of the water fairy's words and promised to protect the lake. When he returned to the forest's inhabitants, everyone applauded him and expressed their gratitude. Leo was now not only a strong and brave king, but also a wise leader who knew the secrets of the forest. The forest folk lived happily and peacefully under Leo's guidance. Once again, 3 apples fell from the sky. 1 for the storyteller, 1 for the listener, and 1 for those who shared this beautiful tale. Sweet dreams and good night. Once upon a time, while Lion King Leo was continuing to explore the secrets and beauties of the forest, he heard a strange sound coming from the depths of the forest. This sound was the saddest and most sorrowful he had ever heard. Determined to find the source of the sound, he immediately set off. As Leo followed the direction of the sound, he ventured into the darkest and most mysterious part of the forest. There, under a large tree, he found a little bear cub crying. The bear cub looked at Leo with tear-filled eyes and said, "I got lost in the depths of the forest and can't find my mother." Leo wiped away the bear cub's tears and said, "Don't worry, little friend. I will reunite you with your mother." He safely carried the cub on his back and set out into the depths of the forest to find the mother bear. While traveling, Leo told the cub stories to comfort him and give him courage. "Once I too was small and lost like you," he said. "But with the help of my friends and my courage, I found my way. You will find your mother in the same way." After a long journey, Leo and the bear cub arrived at the darkest corner of the forest. There, an old owl greeted them. The owl looked at Leo wisely and said, "Having come this far, you have found true courage and love. The mother bear is waiting for you on the other side of the great river." Leo listened to the owl's words and immediately took action. He carried the cub safely to the edge of the river. However, the river's waters were flowing very fast, and crossing it was challenging. Leo hesitated for a moment, but seeing the hope in the bear cub's eyes, he gathered his courage. Using his strong arms, Leo fashioned a bridge from a large tree branch and carefully helped the bear cub across. When they reached the other side of the river, the cub's mother was waiting for them. The mother bear, upon seeing her cub, was overwhelmed with joyful tears and thanked Leo. "Leo, thanks to your courage and kindness, I have found my cub," said the mother bear. "I am eternally grateful to you." Leo felt immense happiness from reuniting the mother and cub and celebrated this beautiful moment with all the creatures of the forest. Everywhere in the forest, Leo's courage and love were spoken of, and everyone admired him even more. From that day on, all the animals living in the forest lived with a stronger sense of unity and brotherhood under Leo's leadership. Every night, Leo looked up at the sky and vowed to himself to protect the peace and happiness of the forest. Once again, 3 apples fell from the sky, 1 for the storyteller, 1 for the listener, and 1 for those who share this beautiful tale. Sweet dreams and good night.